Hey, what's up P2P members? Coach Brian back with you for daily mobility, and this is one of my favorite drills for freeing up the hips and the back today. So it's fantastic if you're doing some lower body work like lunging, squatting, deadlifting, and we're going to just assess a rotational full body range of motion. As through this series, find sometimes people get improvements in their trunk range of motion and their ability to rotate here. So what we're going to do, pick a spot on the floor that you can come back to. If you're comfortable with your balance and feet together, bring your feet all the way together. If you need to be a little bit wider, that's okay. Just try to make sure that width of the feet is the same each time. That'll give you an accurate assessment. So we're going to reach the arms out, put one thumb up, holding the hands together. I'm going to stand nice and tall, and then I'm going to rotate to the left and rotate to the right. So my idea is looking past the thumb to actually find out, okay, how far am I getting in that right and left rotation? So I'm marking, as I look past the thumb into a spot in the room, the edge of the TV over here, and then a paper on the wall over here. So hopefully you got your baseline, and let's get right into the drill. So Shinbox is seated on the floor and then pivoting the hips right to left. We're going to start with the first variation here with the hands down on the floor so you can lean back slightly and support yourself with the hands. Once the feet are about shoulder width, knees are maybe 90 degrees or a little bit inside 90, we're going to pivot into internal rotation in one hip, external on the other hip. So step one is two hands, and we're pivoting back and forth. You can exhale through the middle or through the movement part of that. So inhale on the side, exhale through the middle. Okay, that's iteration one. Second step is going to be to go to no hands. So as we pivot through, and if you can't do any of these or some of these variations, don't worry about it. Just work on the one that you can do. And if it's essential to keep your hands down at first, just do that, and then gradually you can build up to the progression. So if you're ready for a progression, we're going to make some loose fists. Deep breath in as we're here to the side, and then we're going to exhale, pivot the hips through. Okay? Inhale here, exhale, reach forward, and as you reach forward, it provides a little bit of counterbalance so you don't feel like you're falling back. The last iteration is one hand down, and so we're going to put the hand down on the hip that's externally rotated, or the outside of the knee is closer to the floor. That hand goes down on that side. From there, deep breath in, lengthen. Then we're going to exhale, pivot through. This arm will get stretched if you keep it in the same spot on the floor. So if you need to inch it over a little bit, reduce strain on the shoulder, the elbow, that's okay. So this hand back here to support if it needs to move a little bit as you go back and forth, that's okay. Ideally, if we can get it to just anchor and stay in the same spot, it's going to give us actually a really nice mobilization and stretch, lengthening through the joint capsule in the shoulder, and then also down into the elbow. That's the second version. We of course go to the other hand, being the planted hand, and planted or sliding / planted if you need to work that way. All right, so that is kind of our basic series and flow for Shinbox. We're going to do another daily mobility where we progress on this and build on it, but let's reassess just with that two hands, no hands, and one hand. Okay, so let's find your spot on the floor again, and we'll check your range of motion. And for me, it's definitely better. Hopefully for you as well. This is a fantastic drill if you do some strength training, you do deadlift, either kettlebell swings or deadlifting. You're doing some of those kind of strong hip hinge patterns. Really good exercise for mobility to couple in between your sets on your deadlift. The last iteration I want to walk you through today is just adding a little bit of spinal movement into our Shinbox. So I'm going to try to get where you can see here, and we're going to line the hands up. In this case, both hands are going to come across the leg that's externally rotated, or I think of it as kind of the lead leg. Okay, so I'm going to find my hip. I'm going to put the closest hand to my hip out in front of the hip at about femur length, or this thigh length, in front of the hip. I'm then going to find my knee. I'm going to take the other hand and plant it in front of the knee, if we can get here, okay? And then from there, if you needed to shorten this up and just put one hand down, brace the other hand on the knee, you can start with that. And then we're going to basically do a torso circle, kind of bringing the spine and the torso through a circular pattern. So let's say this was your range of motion, torso circle. Our goal is to start to turn the chest bone this way, okay, over that externally rotated leg. If we can get both hands down and you're creating a kind of like a box, your hand in front of the knee lines up with the other hand that's in front of the hip, and then we're going to add in again that rotation and a little bit of circling. So imagine that your chest bone or your sternum is drawing a circle in space. This should be pain-free. If it is, it's a really nice mobilization for the mid-back, the low back, and the hips. Then we would pivot, of course, the other way. Find that other shin box position. Find the hip, put the hand down closest to the hip and in front of it, about a foot to a foot and a half, and then put the other hand down in front of the knee. Once we're set there, again, work into some small, gentle circles, breathing throughout. Remember to breathe. As we have that rib cage, mid-back in this rotated position, taking some deep breaths, is just going to promote some deeper mobilization of the abdominal contents and some of those attachment points by the rib cage and the spine. So let's go ahead and stand back up and repeat our rotation. So arms out, thumb up, and give yourself a grade, same amount of movement, better or worse. Hopefully this was a great drill for you, and I'll see you in the next daily mobility.